All right, here we go. Go Sports Radio here on a Wednesday. Carver and Cuthbert, live from Borelli's Tap Room in Long Beach on the island. What I would have to imagine, and as you can tell if you're watching, I'm not there. Paulie is. I can imagine a snow-filled Long Beach.
Yeah. More
Anywhere
slushy now than anything.
Anywhere to park down there today, Paulie? Can we get some cars in there on the way in? Walk the dog down to Borelli's today. That's what you'll have to do to get yourself in the mix. Of course, Mike Carver along with Paul Cuthbert. A lot has happened since we last saw each other. We will talk about the, of course, United States win over Canada in the gold medal game on Sunday. NHL is back tonight. There's some baseball things to do. The Combine is this week for the NFL. St. John's and UConn tonight. Massive college basketball game. So there is a lot. We had a major snowstorm for us here in the Long Island area over the last few days as well. If that wasn't enough, they had to go drop another couple inches in the middle of rush hour traffic trying to get everybody to school this morning, which was helpful too. Hi, Paulie. How are you?
Good afternoon, my friend. Nice to be back here on a Wednesday at Borelli's. And yeah, man, it's wet and slushy down here. And yeah, it's tight for spots down here, as everybody know. And coming down to Long Beach, it's tight to park down here even when it's beautiful out.
Well,
so
and
add some snow piles and it gets a little difficult.
And before everybody says, oh, look at this, Carver soft, couldn't get down there. Paulie makes it, you don't, to Long Beach. What is all this? I would have been there. One of my kids is sick, of course. When the kids don't go to school, I don't go to Borelli's. That's just kind of how the whole thing happens. So what is this? This guy couldn't go down to Long Beach. The snow was 2 days ago. No, it's just that, unfortunately, I would love to be at Borelli's today. I'd have my free Miller Lite draft if I was at Borelli's today. But unfortunately, no, one of my kids didn't go to school today. So that's why I am here in the home base for us as we get cooking here. Paulie, we have to start, of course, today as a new week and the final week in February, by the way, as we're going to be turning the calendar to March on Sunday. Thank God. Like, I've had enough of this winter. As you can just see at Bellyache. If you're not near us, I'm belly aching a lot about it, but I really have had enough. We have to start with this USA-Canada game from Sunday. What a scene at Borelli's Tap Room in Long Beach that we had. Of course, we were there for that little pregame show beforehand with Hockey Night in New York. J.G. Pajot was in the house. Everybody was pumped. Place was packed, fired up, and ready, and they stayed that way throughout what was just an unbelievable hockey game between the United States and Canada with, whether you like it or not, the good guy, the United States finally cracks the egg against Canada in one of these big games. Were they outplayed? Yes, they were. But all that matters at the end of the day, Paulie, is what that scoreboard says at the top and who they put the gold medals around next and who they put the silver medals around. And that was the United States of America for the first time in men's hockey since 1980.
Yeah, it was pretty incredible. Just what you would expect from those two teams. I think, even the pundits and most of the fans, including myself and others, just thinking that, Canada was going to steamroll them. And if not for Connor Hellebuyck, that was pretty much how the game was going. But you know what? Fair play to the United States, man. At the end of the day, they got it done. And, the 3-on-3, the big win. Yeah, I'm sure we're going to go into a lot of storylines here with this this game on Sunday and then the aftermath and, from the start to the finish here. But hey, look, USA wins. Incredible. And I think, again, too, I was one of the naysayers, too. At the end of the day, that team was built to try and stop these guys. They didn't so much as far as, shots on net and everything, but it really comes down to Hellebuyck, man. He played well. It was him, man. He stopped them. And then we had the right guys on the ice at the right time, and it's all over. And we can, we got bragging rights for another 4 years, Mike.
Yeah, there are a lot of layers and a lot of storylines to this that you have to get in, but I don't think you can start talking about this game without talking about Connor Hellebuck, because I truly believe that he was the guy who's, kind of his story going forward and the story of his career and other things. I think he's the guy that it changes the most out of that game, because despite a Hart Trophy, despite multiple Vezinas, despite all these things, there was always this cloud hanging over his head that he couldn't get it done in a big game, and he got it done in the biggest game, the gold medal game. And look, I'm sure that there are fans in Winnipeg who want to see him do that for their squad and bring a Stanley Cup and do all that, but that you're not going to find much bigger than the stage you had on Sunday. And Connor Hellebuck was incredible. It's an absolute joke that he wasn't named the MVP of the tournament. There are some other things that go into that, of course. It's a whole tournament, but he was beautiful. He was great the whole tournament. That was just the cherry on top. But then you found out, Paulie, that they actually vote that after the first period of the gold medal game. That's not something that I don't understand why. I still haven't figured out a couple days later why we can't wait until the game ends to vote for who's the MVP of the tournament, and nothing against Connor McDavid, because he broke the record for most points in the Olympic tournament, blah, 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 blah. And, man, it's – how about that guy?
Well, there you go, too, man. And that's probably just an attest to, like I said, nobody gave the United States a chance to win this game.
Nobody did. Look, I think that we gave them a chance to win the game, but I think that the way the game was going, we thought there was no chance they win the game, because they get the Boldy goal. And by the way, I was pretty good with predictions on Sunday. I know that I do this, and you like to be right as much as you possibly can. It was hard for me to nail it as good as I did in that in the pregame show on Sunday morning. I said 2-1 USA. It was going to be a tight game, maybe overtime. And I told you that this Boldy would score a huge goal in the game. And sure enough, he scored the first goal, the only one in regulation for the United States. But from the moment that they got the 5-on-3 in the second period, and I know they didn't score on it, but the game changed in that moment. Whereas from there until the end of regulation, it was just a complete onslaught by Canada. From that moment, the last 30 minutes of the game, basically the whole second half of the game, they were just barraging the United States, who had, I mean, you couldn't count on one hand the amount of decent chances that they had on Binnington after that point. And I think that it was obviously a large part of it was the play of Hellebuck. Another large part of it was the way that, and they took some flack for it, the way that the United States constructed their roster was to have guys out there who could withstand those situations and withstand those pressures. And those guys played very well, particularly on the penalty kill. Your guys, Miller and Trocheck, they were a big part of that kill and the defensive effort that the United States set forth. And the third part of it obviously was, you got to have a little bit of luck too. And Canada missed.
And they got a lot of luck.
Canada missed a lot of open nets, whether it's the McKinnon shot that went off the side of the net, Celebrini missed the wide open net. Taves should have scored. That was that incredible paddle save by Hellebuck that if he just keeps it on the ground, I guess it probably goes in, but he lifted it and it went off of Hellebuck's stick. There was a lot of things that combined to make it happen, Paulie, but what just an unbelievable game, an unbelievable moment for it all.
Yeah, I mean, look, obviously we've been watching hockey since we're kids and everything, and you think you've seen it all, and then you don't think something like that's going to happen to a monster squad like Canada, but here it is, and the questions about Hellebuck and if he could take this team to the end was up there, and it was just amazing to watch. But I felt it right out of the gate. He just looked sharp. He looked really focused, and he stayed that way. And he was there to back up his boys when, they weren't up front for him. And it worked out. But it was truly amazing to watch. And just, it's incredible. I don't know if it's still sinking in. I mean, we've seen all the celebrations and everything. And, I've watched the final goal there 100 times and just enjoying it and just still going, this is unbelievable. Because, I can only speak for me. I mean, I just, yeah, it's my country. It's the squad. There's a part of me, Mike, that does feel a little bad because I didn't give them enough credit. And through those 3 periods, yes, Canada was the better team, but they found a way. And I think, when you get to this moment, and that's the respect I want to give these guys too. And, the guys who were given a hard time, and we beat up the roster a little bit. On the other side of that too now, with the guys, the young kids that they kept out for this roster, right? And then these guys go out and they win the gold. And you look now ahead for the United States in the next 4 years and the talent that they can put on that roster in the 4 years to come is going to be pretty unbelievable. And I think the United States now might be that favorite team in 4 years. I mean, I don't know where a lot of these older guys and veteran guys on the Canadian squad is going to be, and as far as our United States team, but to win that gold medal on Sunday and now think about the future and the entire USA program, and you have to give well, I'm sure we'll talk about it too, but we have to give tons of credit to the ladies program as well too, and winning. So, I sit back now and, we're not experts. We're not the guys in the room. We're not the guys who make the decisions upstairs. I got to give credit to Sully and, just putting this team together and just seeing it work. They worked hard. They were gritty. Did they have a lot of luck in that last game? Absolutely. That's the hockey gods, as they say. Guys like McKinnon and McCarr not finishing there. We've seen amazing saves and big moments. We've seen, favored teams, dominant teams in the past. Quick example is Columbus sweeping Tampa Bay Lightning that year in the playoffs. Should have never happened. But then again, we watching it happens. And it's just great to be on the other side of it, man. And just congratulations to the entire team, the entire squad, and for the country. It's awesome. And I think just the U.S. as a country as a whole did really well at these Winter Olympics. It's a fact, obviously, most golds. I think it's just great to look forward to. And I think we just have to sit back and just be really proud of all the athletes that competed.
Correct. Because at the end of the day, Paulie, that is what it's all about, is the athletes competing and the athletes bringing home gold and things like that. And for having both hockey teams, the men and the women, getting the job done, both of them beating Canada in the gold medal games, that's, what it's like up there. It's religion.
It hurts.
Canada. And
it hurts.
And it hurts as much as they, it's the narrative. And I thought it was tough after the game, and expectedly so. I think there's a little bit of a difference, with Canada losing it. There was, what surprised me most was Cooper. To be quite honest with you, with his comments after the game, because
let's talk about the post game stuff. Here we go.
I feel like Coop he's so good, and what he's done in Tampa, he is a great head coach. I thought it was a little much for him to start talking about the 3-on-3 after the game.
He's been known to complain about stuff, though.
He has, but we all talked about this beforehand. This was not something new. This was talked about on the Wednesday when we had the 3 overtime games in the quarterfinals. This was talked about leading up to the tournament. Everyone knew what the situation was. And I would gather that if Canada found the goal in overtime, that I don't think we would have heard John Cooper bringing up it ending in 3-on-3. And I honestly, Paulie, don't think you would have heard Mike Sullivan bring up the 3-on-3 if the United States would have lost in that game. So I thought it was a little, for a guy that I think is a great coach and I like a lot, I thought it was a little weak from Cooper, his comments that he made afterwards. And I know that the McKinnon comments also garnered a lot of attention, and I was one of the ones who fed into it. I think it was a little unfair, the stuff that kind of got laid on McKinnon, because I don't think that they represented his entire quote very well. I think that,
but he's another guy too, though, in past playoffs and stuff.
He's a bit of a sore loser. I don't disagree with that, but I think that just putting up that one line of, I think you guys saw who the better team out there was today. There was many sentences before that of him praising the United States of how they played, and praising Hellebuck of how he played and how we just didn't get it done, and we didn't. And then he threw that line out there. I don't think it was just a thing where he was like, we were better. This is BS. I think that McKinnon got a little was a little unfair.
Well, in these day and age, Mike, you know that's what you're going to run with,
no
right?
question. And I was
Right,
one
you
of them.
said that.
You saw me. I tweeted the quote with a picture of him missing the net and shooting it to the side. And then 6-7 hours later, you dig a little deeper and people start, well, he actually said this. And you're like, you know what? That's fair. But there was a lot of belly aching because it is religion to them up there. And I've seen a lot of the Canadian hockey media and a lot of them over the past couple of days. And, their line is, United States, they won't even care by Wednesday that they won. You're going to go back to whatever. And meanwhile, I don't think so. No, I don't think that's. I think that this was.
I keep retweeting the goal, buddy. So
I think
probably not going to stop for a while.
This was a huge moment for United States hockey. This was, and you talk about in the future. Now, look, Canada is always going to have loaded teams. And I could tell you a couple guys right off the top of my head who weren't on this team that are going to be a huge part of the next several Canadian teams. And that's Bedard and Schaefer. Those guys are going to be a big part. And there's other guys right behind them. McKenna, there's guys coming that are going to be an enormous part. Canada ain't going anywhere. They're still going to be the favorite for gold anytime that there is a best on best tournament. But the gap is not as wide as it used to be. It is not. And that has been seen now over world championships and world juniors and world other. The gap is not the same. Are they still the best? And it's still religion there. And it's still, yes, but it is a lot closer than it used to be.
Well, on that note, Mike, so the United States program, and if you look at the juniors and pretty much 100% of all these guys that just won the gold have all come up through that program.
Yeah.
And our junior squad over the last 10 years, the program has just been unbelievable. And they've been tough and they've been resilient. And again, the women's team too, just the battle back and forth with Canada over the years. So the only reason I'm bringing this up is I think the United States might be a favored team the next go around, just because of the additional grit, the way the program is. You look at guys like Long Beach's own Charlie McAvoy, and just how hockey has really grown here in the United States, and it is damn hard to get on that team. And as well as it is in Canada, there's no doubt about it. But I'd have a little more confidence in the United States team going forward, in that. And I'm not saying that you don't. And you mentioned some great names and some kids coming up here too, but this is going to be a lot of fun to watch. I think the future, more than anything, the United States, and they've done it here. I don't know if everybody's been paying attention, and because we haven't had an Olympics in a long time, and because we've been silver medalists the last couple of times, I don't know if the program gets enough credit, but it's a good program, and these kids are just amazing. And like I said, we just have so many more American superstars in the league now too. I think it's a lot closer. I think we're very close to where Canada is.
It is as close as it's ever been. And that gold medal on Sunday, whether they were, severely outplayed for the last 30 minutes of that game or not, it is a lot closer than it has been. And what a job. And, Hughes loses the tooth, and then he scores the winner. And, you have all the couple sets of brothers, and you have the stories, and you have, Brock Nelson, third generation gold medal, which is absolutely awesome. There's just so many really cool things that came out. I mean, I've never seen Austin Matthews smile in my life before. I've never seen.
It's a big win for him, bro. That is a huge win for Austin.
No kidding. And but I'm not kidding. I've never seen that guy as happy as he was on Sunday. He's obviously had to deal with a lot of disappointment and the way things have gone at the season's end in Toronto every single year. You've never seen him. I mean, I've never seen him smile before that. And you really, for him to let go a little, and I saw we could kind of lead into this.
But again, too, he really didn't light up the score sheet.
No, but he played well. He did play well.
He played well.
Everyone, Paulie, they all did their job. They all did the job that they had to do. There wasn't anybody on that USA team who was solely there you have to be the guy that drives the offense and you have to be the guy that scores the huge goals. Like, they didn't have that. That was clear with Canada. McKinnon and McDavid and Celebrity, they were there. They were there to provide the power. And maybe, and listen, Cooper, they played a lot over those games in the medal round. There was a lot of guys that Cooper, left on the bench for a lot of the games.
Yeah, that's a trip, man. Yeah.
That he didn't play, which was,
I don't care. And Mike, on that point, I don't care what anybody says. McKinnon missing a shot here and McDavid missing a breakaway and stuff. They're human beings. Those guys were overplayed. They were exhausted. And that, playing hockey and stuff like that, you don't have that little bit of extra energy there to bury a goal, make that extra effort. I mean, look at McKinnon getting bumped off by Werenski there at the end.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a tired friggin' hockey player. And I think a lot of people will look into that in terms of how Cooper ran his bench as opposed to how Sully ran his.
Right. You saw a little bit more of everyone taking a turn on the U.S. side, and that's why they built the team the way it did. They wanted to have guys on the ice in any time, in any situation who they felt comfortable were going to be able to, not get completely bulldozed and run over, no matter who was on the ice for Canada. So they did a tremendous job. The Matthews part, that's funny. And this is, how this is going to go. These guys are all going to go back to their teams now over the next couple of days. And when they go home for the first time, there's going to be announcements and congratulations and all that. And when we start after we take a break, you do the Borelli stuff in a little bit.
And I got two questions for you too before we go to break. Go ahead.
We will get into what this means for these teams now, because obviously these guys on the U.S. team, they haven't slept or been sober for like 2 or 3 days, and they're all going to go back to their teams now tonight and tomorrow night. But Matthews specifically, they're on the road the first 2 games. They're in Tampa tonight. They're in Florida, I think, tomorrow night, and then they're home Saturday night. What kind of ovation does Matthews get? The big standing ovation from the Toronto fan? Because Paulie, they're going to give the congrats to our captain Austin Matthews for winning gold with Team USA. What is that reaction in the building in Toronto on Saturday night? Because I think it's for him. There's a lot of guys we could do this. You could do this with Hellebuck in Winnipeg. You could do, but I think that's the one I'm most interested in, is what's the reaction for Matthews in Toronto, considering he hasn't won anything there, and now he brings the gold home with the United States, who beat Canada. What do you think that reaction is Saturday night?
Don't put the popcorn away just yet. Yeah. I don't know. I think Canada losing here it stings a lot more than if we had lost. You know what I'm saying?
I agree, and that's their point too, that they care more about it than we do in terms of the general public.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. You think, okay, Canada, that's reputation. They'll be respectful and they'll salute him and everything else.
That's what my guy.
I don't know if they're gonna boo, because it's funny. I think that everybody's been tweeting out ever since the Canadians booed the national anthem. They've lost everything.
And my guy Nick Alberga, the Golden Muzzy, who does
Nick,
he said, I saw him tweet about this because he had seen somebody question it, and he said he thinks that they'll give him a standing ovation. He thinks that the Toronto fan will give, because you do want to boost him up more and be like, all right, now let's boost and now bring this to us. Like, now I think that there is a little bit of that will be there. And he thinks that the Toronto fan base will they're going to give him his moment when they come back. And
he's giving them something to cheer for.
Yeah, he has. Give me the 2 questions that you got.
Okay, so look, I didn't get around to looking at obviously maybe the apps out there, and I'll just throw it at I tried to zoom in, I couldn't find the stats. Maybe I could have looked in a little deeper. So besides Hellebuck and Hughes and Werenski, who was the 4th guy on the ice on the golden goal?
Okay, so you said
it was Werenski and Hughes.
Hughes.
So the other third offensive player, and then obviously Hellebuck was in the net.
Geez. We were so caught in the.
And in all the clips, I can't make out his name. Anyway, I just thought maybe you knew off the top of your head.
Well, it had to be a forward if Werenski was on the ice. It had to be a forward. Honestly, whoever forgotten third guy on the ice because of the pass and the finish.
And
I
it's
would have
weird
to, I'd
because of
have
the
to see the
camera
clip.
angles of the NBC, the Olympic, the camera angles were so bad through a lot of this stuff. And it's just amazing on that. You can't make them out. I can't make them out. And yeah, okay, I'm lazy, whatever. I haven't looked at the stat sheet. I haven't found it out, whatever yet. But I just thought maybe you knew. But anyway, that's here nor there. My other question is, the guy that I focused in on that line for Canada was McDavid. This guy, you know, the second place guy here, obviously, you know, just in terms of Stanley Cup Finals last 2 years in a row. He gets to this Golden Game. The Four Nations, obviously, they won. He had the big moment and everything else. But as far as the top of the top, it's you know, maybe using a Dan Marino type of example, being the absolute best in your sport. And I know he's got time left. How much time I don't know, as far as how the team is made up and Edmonton as an organization is going. But I was focusing on him. And I just, it's got to be tough for him to just sit there and, you know, go through those last two Stanley Cup Finals, come up short, and then basically be on a roster with the greatest hockey team probably ever put together, and they lose. So I just want to get your thoughts on McDavid there.
Well, it is pretty amazing. And I guess you do got to feel for this guy a little bit. And look, it's hard to say that for athletes sometimes. I think that because, especially in today's day and age where they make so much money, where it's hard to feel bad for these guys, because at the end of the day, he's going home and he's living an extremely comfortable life. But from just the on-ice perspective of it, like you say, he's lost 2 Stanley Cup Finals. One of them he's named the Conn Smythe. So he's gotten a Conn Smythe in a losing championship series. He now wins the most outstanding player of an Olympics while losing in a gold medal game. Someone had told me that if you go back further, this happened to him in junior once too, where he got the MVP when they lost. It just, it is starting to become like a weird thing. Like he can't break the glass. And it's not necessarily his fault, because this is the ultimate team game where you need everybody. And you can make the case the years in Edmonton where they lost, maybe the goaltending wasn't great. They didn't have great defense. They didn't have other, there's other aspects of the game. It's not his fault.
No,
it's not like
his fault. I was just looking at him going,
but that's
I can't win.
It is amazing that he's been put in these situations and through no fault of his own, because he's played. It's not like he's had these games and he hasn't shown up. He carried Edmonton back from down 3-0 that year against Florida to force that 7th game. And that was the year that he won the Conn Smythe, even though they lost the 7th. But it is kind of weird, right? That he just can't finish the job in any of these. It's kind of bizarre when you think
or his support has not been able to assist him finishing the job.
I mean, you just look at Sunday as an example.
Yeah.
I know he had a breakaway and he didn't get a very clean shot off on that breakaway on Hellebuck. Celebrini and McKinnon missed wide open nets. I mean, wide open nets. And I don't know if he would have done that. I'm not sure McDavid misses a wide open. That McKinnon shot, McDavid buries that.
Yeah.
Crosby buries that.
Yeah.
Oh, and this is nothing against Nathan McKinnon. He's won a cup. He's won MVP. Nathan McKinnon is a top 5, maybe top 3 player in the NHL right now. You can't miss that when you're that when it's that. You cannot miss.
Maybe
that
he needed
Celebrini. I'll give him a pass. He's a kid in a big spot. It's the first time he's ever. I could give Celebrini. Celebrini is going to have another chance to make that shot.
Yeah,
in his life, and McKinnon will too. McKinnon's not. He's not a Crosby's age, but McKinnon can't miss that open. You just cannot miss that. So very weird, the McDavid stuff with how it all is shaken out for him in all of these enormous spots, that it's just can't cross the line and finish. And he will one day, Paulie. We're not going to, I firmly believe that. I mean, he's going to, whether it's a gold medal or a Stanley Cup.
And maybe on another team, right? I don't know where's McDavid's contract now. I know
Well,
he
remember
resigned,
he
right?
did that. Remember he did that kind of 2-year extension, kind of team friendly-ish 2-year extension.
Yeah,
I think before this season, yeah, because he
yeah,
was supposed to be. So I think before this year, he added 2 at kind of for him a discounted rate, and trying to give another shot in Edmonton. And let's say that I think the West is extremely difficult. I don't think that Edmonton can get back there this year. I really don't. But you never know. I've been saying it for Florida. I think Florida's finally finished, but we have no clue. But that's going to kind of take us, Paulie, into as we reopen the NHL
yeah.
book after you tell us a little bit about what's going on at Borelli's. Carver and Cuthbert, Go Sports Radio, live from Borelli's Tap Room in Long Beach on the island. What's going on over there at Borelli's, Paulie?
All right. First, we want to just start right off today with there's a promotion going on here on Long Island, all across the island. Pizza Strong today. Come down to Borelli's and most participating pizzerias on Long Island. And every $5 from every pizza pie that's bought at Borelli's today and all pizzas will go to the recent passing of the Nassau County police officer that recently passed away. So that's Pizza Strong today all across Long Island. Come down to Borelli's today, buy a pizza pie, and $5 from that pie will go to the cause. So that's number one thing I want to let everybody know about. Comedy series is just kicking butt here at Borelli's. Pete Coriel is sold out tonight. And on March 10th and March 11th, Ben Bankus is also sold out. So in the next week or so, we'll have more comedy night announcements for you right now. But man, if you like comedy, you got to get there quick down here at Borelli's, man. All the shows are selling out. Yeah. So that's great news. On Tuesday, March 31st, the comedy podcast, Are You Garbage, will be here on the 31st. So make sure you come down to that. So that'll be the next comedy event that's going on down here. Go to Borelli'sTapRoom.com or Eventbrite.com and search Borelli's Taproom Comedy for tickets for that night coming up. And I'm sure that one's going to sell out too. So hustle up on that. Next Wednesday, music theme nights continue here at Borelli's. Last night was Billy Joel night. Great crowd here. And next week is Sinatra Serenade, the return of the Sinatra theme night. Come down here. Drink specials, half price bottle of wines, and all kinds of dinner specials. So come on down. That's next Wednesday, 7 o'clock. No charge for that. This weekend, coming up here, live music, always every weekend here. Friday night, 7 p.m. is Evan Karuga and Dennis Kelly. They'll be here at 7. On Saturday, return of Anthony Gal, and then live DJ to close out on Saturday. On Sunday, Fun Day, Eddie Burbis at 4 p.m. and then DJ TM Select at 7 p.m. And we want to let everybody know St. Patrick's Day is coming, all right? And this may be an Italian restaurant, but there's going to be a pretty big Irish party going on here today. And on that day, on Tuesday the 17th, we'll be open at noon. And they're going to have $10 Jameson drinks and $5 Guinness pints, Mike. $5 pints of Guinness. And there'll be live music with Evan Karuga and Dennis Kelly. So there you go. That's what's happening at Borelli's.
Dennis Kelly, a fine Irish lad, Dennis Kelly.
There's a few Irish fellas.
What day of the week is that this year? That's not a Wednesday,
Tuesday.
right? Oh,
Tuesday.
Tuesday. Oh, man.
Tuesday.
That would have been nice. I don't know. Maybe that wouldn't have been a good thing if it fell on a Wednesday this year.
Tight in here. Be tight here on
be tight. Hey, you know what? There, I guess
Long Beach, buddy. It is a pretty big Irish town.
I'm well aware of what goes on down there. All right, Go Sports Radio here, Carver and Cuthbert. So this now transitions, Paulie, to the NHL. They waste no time. They are right back at it tonight. Now, I think that at least for today and tomorrow, you might see a little bit of why the owners and the league and the teams don't want the players going over to the Olympics. Because if you have any of these guys from the United States team on your roster, and obviously these are big players. I mean, these guys that were on the team, I don't really know what you're getting out of them tonight and tomorrow, because we obviously know what's been going on in terms of where these guys have been. They flew them to Miami because of the snowstorm. They've obviously been to Washington, D.C. There have been guys they've been all over the place, and some of them are supposed to play tonight. Now,
yep.
I don't know. Austin Matthews playing for the Leafs tonight in Tampa, Paulie. I would have to gather that Connor Hellebuck won't be in the pipes for the Jets in Vancouver tonight at 10 o'clock East. I would have to just assume that. Is Jack Eichel playing for Vegas tonight in LA against the Kings? Man, that's a fight. DC last night for the state. You were going to fly all the way to LA and play the Kings tonight? I'm not too sure in some of these spots, but hockey is back, Paulie.
Yes, it is.
This evening. So get excited.
Yeah, how many games on the slate tonight? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, wow. Everybody's back here.
Slate.
Panarin makes his debut tonight, I believe, in LA. That's interesting.
Is he going to play? He's playing tonight. We haven't seen him in a
so.
while.
Yeah,
clearly.
Something to look for.
I'm trying to find did the Leafs have morning skate already in Tampa? They must have. They must have already had more.
I tell you, Cooper probably can't wait to drop that puck tonight.
Cooper, by the way, will not be behind the bench
really
tonight. Something personal matter with the family, and he's away from the team, so no Cooper.
Right. Hope everything works out there
with them. Now, I just saw a clip. Morning skate for the Leafs in Tampa. Austin Matthews on the ice with his team.
Okay.
So if he's on the ice with his team at morning skate, that means he should play. Apparently, he didn't stay very long last night. He stayed at the White House for about an hour, and he got himself to Tampa. So Austin Matthews and that's what, listen, I know that they've had a lot of fun, and deservedly so, lots of celebrating, but this is who you work for, Paulie. You know, you gotta get back to work. You've had a nice 48-hour bender, and now you need to get back to the work of the NHL season. So Leafs are in Tampa this evening against the Lightning. Flyers and Caps tonight in DC. Sabres and Devils at the Rock in New Jersey.
That should be a good one to watch.
And you got one on each side there, right? Because you got Hughes for the Devils.
Yep.
Tage Thompson for the Sabres, guys who have kind of been through this whirlwind 48 hours.
Did you see that crazy thing real quick about the movie, the Miracle movie, and the Jack guy getting crossed off of the scorecard?
I did see that.
The lineup card. That's crazy.
I did see that. Pretty wild. What do you think? I've seen that clip get passed around quite a bit. The Kraken are in Dallas against the Stars, who aren't going to have Rantanen for a while. He got hurt in the Finland game. I guess was it in the bronze, or he got hurt against Canada? I think he might have been against Canada the day before, and he didn't play the bronze medal game, if I remember, but he's going to be out for a little while. They don't think it's for the rest of the regular season. So that was one major injury, Paulie, that came out of the Olympics, was Rantanen, and Crosby obviously would be the other, because he's going to miss significant time for the Penguins.
And we have no idea what his injury is, right?
Well, it is hockey. They don't tell you anything.
Is it lower? Is it lower body? Is
it lower, body? Upper? They haven't. I guess it's lower, but they haven't really given you any of that info. Oilers and Ducks tonight at the Duck Pond. Knights and Kings, I mentioned in LA. Jets and Canucks in Vancouver. The Avalanche are in Utah against the Mammoth. Avalanche, obviously, Paulie, with tons of guys who were involved in that game on Sunday with McCarr and McKinnon and Brock Nelson. And so they've got a few guys there. So I don't know what to expect from some of these teams. I mean, if Matthews is playing, honestly, I'm just going to say it. If Matthews is playing for the Toronto Maple Leafs tonight, everybody should be playing, to be quite honest. If Matthews can go and get there, everyone. I think the only guy that I would give a pass, because it's such an easy position to swap out, is I'm sure Hellebuck's not going to play for the Jets tonight in Vancouver, and they'll give the backup some work to start this post-Olympic break. But other than that, Paulie, we're probably making too big of a deal about it. It's all
well, the other side of it too is, man, the conditions or non-condition of the guys who just played in this tournament, and that's all the teams. Let's just put it that way. And then you have to look at the rest of the league. It's not like, they've only been back on the ice here a few days. So the hockey probably, it'll be interesting to see the scorecard tomorrow. But the games could be just very sloppy here for these first couple of days, getting back into the rhythm. So, and I think, for all of us, hey, look, this happens only every 4 years. Suck it up here. If these teams need 3 or 4 games to get things going again. And, we'll watch and see how, like, the teams that were hot, like the Sabres, how will they react? And, and then, like I said, we'll see how the Kings do, how the Rangers going to do. Are they going to bounce back? Are the Islanders going to be able to, be consistent here and and keep everybody's eyebrows open on them and everything else. So
Rangers bringing a lot of gold back between Sullivan and Drury and JT Miller and Trocheck. A lot of gold.
yeah,
A lot of
unfortunately,
standing ovations at the
yeah,
Garden, I guess.
yeah.
Tomorrow night, right?
Well, look,
Yeah.
the Ranger fans are going to be there. They're gonna show up big for that. There's no doubt about it. I just so unfortunately, the Rangers crest is not a part of this. So it's still ugly in New York until these guys, we have no idea. That's the Rangers are still unknown. We have no idea. I mean, I think this is, we talk about guys like McDavid, we talk about guys like Hughes and everything else, and you talk about JT Miller, the captain of the New York Rangers, winning this, Trocheck winning this. I mean, look, Trocheck and Miller and Zibanejad on their own are just incredibly talented guys. They're also tight guys. They're friends and stuff. Look, I don't know if they have, the assets to really kind of turn things around. I was joking on the show the other day, hey, what the heck, and in hockey, anything can happen. Maybe these guys do come back. Shesty comes back in net and they can just find a way to chip away at points and just make it interesting. They got nothing to lose here for the rest of the season, but I think it's a better situation for Sully, for Trocheck, for Drury, and for Miller that they won this damn thing. And they've got a little positive stuff to talk about in New York.
Sure. I mean, you don't have to come back tomorrow night at home against the Flyers with the doom and gloom. At least that'll be the topic of conversation the first night back, no matter what happens on the ice. It's, hey, look at this. Look at what a job by Sully and all these guys. So at least you do have a nice, maybe that sprinkles in. They get a little win.
Hey, man, there's already independent Ranger apparel companies that are cashing in on this thing. So
they should.
It's good news.
Should, there hasn't been many other things that you could capitalize on this year for the Rangers, so you might as well do that. The Islanders will come back tomorrow night in Montreal against the Canadiens. And we were talking to Pajot Sunday morning, Paulie, Pirelli's, and I thought he had some interesting stuff to say because I was asking him about, 3 weeks, 3.5 weeks is such a long time. And he's like, yeah, you just kind of got to spend like the first half of it, just relax, get ready, and then you start ramping it back up. But I agree with what you're saying. I think these first game or two out of the chute, especially the first one for all these teams, it's going to be challenging, I think, to just get it back going again and getting the feel and I'd be particularly, these teams that were red hot coming into the break, the Sabres, the Columbus Blue Jackets, the teams like that were playing at their best. It sucks, but it's kind of, you're back at zero, honestly. Like I know you really are because you've had so much time off. And I think it makes a big difference. But these teams that didn't have a lot of guys there, they probably will be served a little bit better. The Islanders only had 2 players there. They had Horvat and Palat. There's a couple teams that had one. I think it's going to be hardest for teams like, it's the really good teams, the teams like Colorado and the teams like Vegas and the teams that had 5, 6, 7 guys at the Olympics.
Yeah,
I think that teams like that are going to have the tougher time, at least for the first game or two coming out of this break. And that's probably something to watch. I'd really like, Utah tonight against Colorado, that's got to be a go for me, especially from like the betting aspect of things. You're getting Colorado with a little, you're getting Utah, with a little plus money at home tonight against the Avalanche. That's probably a good spot for Utah tonight to kind of jump on a team that's got a lot of players that have been getting shuttled around and have played a lot of games the last couple of weeks.
I don't know. They might be facing a very, very angry McKinnon there. So.
Yeah, we'll see. I guess.
You probably can't wait to throw that Avalanche sweater over his shoulders.
You think that after the way that went for McKinnon on Sunday, he just comes out and blasts 4 goals tonight against Utah?
Yeah,
just comes out with a bit of a purpose tonight.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd want to be on the line against McKinnon tonight.
Yeah, that's and you got McKinnon, Taves, Makar, a lot of guys that were on that team. Brock brought the gold. Brock bringing some gold.
They might actually put up 6 or 7 goals against the Mammoth tonight because they want everybody to forget about it.
Okay, so you might go to the other side of things for it with those guys there. Avalanche, Team Canada, Wild, Team USA from John. Biggest gold medal game moment was McKinnon crapping the bet in front of a wide open net. Yes, it was, John. It absolutely was the biggest moment. So we are back with the NHL this evening. I'm very excited to see everything that goes on. All right, Paulie. Let's do a couple of other things now here because we've spent we did a lot of hockey today, as we should.
Yes,
coming off of that gold medal game. Are you ready to watch everyone run around in shorts in Indianapolis? The combine.
It's not on the top of the list, buddy. It's not on the top of the list.
You know, it really does it amazes me how enormous this has grown to in terms of, and I get it's because the NFL is such a monster now.
Yeah.
In terms of how they swallow everything up and the coverage of it, even something as dopey as guys running around in shorts in Indy for the combine, like they make a spectacle out of it. NFL Network shows all day long there, watching guys run around. Every coach and GM is there the first couple days doing press conferences in front. It really is amazing what it's become over the past couple of years. And look, there's always, you'll get some story by the end of it with, look at this fast guy who's moved himself up the boards. You're going to have the big quarterback who doesn't do anything there. Mendoza ain't showing up and throwing in Indianapolis. No top quarterback does anymore. So it is kind of hard for the regular fan. I don't know how you could sit there and watch this stuff all day long. Like, just, you got to really.
Well, just like in anything, we have nerds in everything. So there will be some NFL nerds watching this. There's no doubt about it.
Oh, there certainly will. Let's do kind of a little bit of a local aspect of both of these teams from the last couple days. Because like I said, the general managers and the head coaches all have media availability the first few days they were there. And Joe Shane did yesterday for the Giants. Now, me and you have talked about this a lot, that the story was out there that his role is significantly reduced now with Harbaugh there. Joe Shane yesterday, Paulie, said that's not the case at all, is what he said. Quote, "I'm still the general manager of the team and my role has not changed." End quote. Do you believe him? I don't.
Does he have to answer these questions? Is it,
I mean, you go out there and you have to,
is this, let me ask you this. Is this more of a mess on the PR side as far as the Giants organization that your GM has to go out and say this stuff? I mean, obviously we all know it's Harbaugh's team. Does it really matter?
Yeah, look, it shouldn't. And I think that this is part of, I think there's a lot of guys who cover the Giants that I'll say this probably as nicely as I can. They don't like Joe Shane. I think that there's a lot of guys who cover the team that whether it's maybe he hasn't given them access that they've been granted in the past from previous years. There's a lot of guys who have covered the Giants for a very long time and they do a tremendous job. But there's a lot of them that seem to not like Joe very much. Mm-hmm. So I think that, and it's like we just said about people who watch the combine, there's always this craving for more and more content and more stories and more. So I'm with you. I think that it should be like a bit of a nothing burger. Like, who cares? Like, I think that the main thing that matters for the New York Giants right now is that Harbaugh is the coach, and Harbaugh, whatever anyone else's title is, the buck stops with him. Like, that should be the main thing. So continuing every time that you find a chance to put a microphone in front of Joe Shane's face to ask him what his role is, I do think that it is a little bit too much at the end of the day. I really do.
Well, I guess, in what you're saying here, look, these guys have a job, right? So if you're covering the Giants, you have to find ways to talk about the Giants in any capacity and get people to read your columns and click on your links and everything else. For me as a fan, I think all of us are just relieved that Harbaugh is the coach. We have a pretty good young squad here, and we're going to just sit back and wait. We can't wait for training camp and the season to start and get to see the results on the field. All this other stuff, Shane, and really just don't care about it, to be honest with you, only because now it's over because we got the guy. But I do understand, it's a business and you got to cover things and you got to get some stuff going. And I guess it is a storyline, but I will speak for myself as a fan. whatever John Harbaugh says is the rule of law.
Right. And I think that he's the guy now that you want to hear. Then he gave you all the usual coach speak yesterday when he talked, and he likes this guy. And I watch film in my room, and I don't go, he gave you all that stuff. So we need to stop the run. We need to be strong on the run. All that. I think the biggest thing for Harbaugh and Joe Shane is to find right as you enter this part of the calendar, which of course is combine, free agency, draft, all in those orders, is finding the pieces to put around what you believe to be your franchise quarterback. And that's really what these next 2 months are all about. You go from right now, 2 months from today is like, whether it's the exact NFL draft or just finishing the NFL draft, this is your 60-day stretch where when you come out of these 60 days, what does your team look like? Is it better than it was when you stopped playing in early January? Those are the things that matter. All this other stuff is garbage. It really is. It's nonsense. Yep. We know who reports to who. We know who does this, what this guy's job is, what that guy does. Is the team better than last year 60 days from now when we get to the end of April and the draft is complete? That is the stuff that matters and nothing else does.
Absolutely agree.
Nothing else matters besides that point. As far as the Jets side of things go, I guess and it is what it is, Paulie. There is a side of it with the Jets as well, as they had, of course, Aaron Glenn, Muji. It's really the same thing, and I think the biggest question that you'll have with them is, and you're going to know about it fairly quickly, there really is a significant drop-off after Mendoza when it comes to quarterbacks in this draft. And they're, of course, picking 2, not 1. So they're not going to get Mendoza. What is their plan for the quarterback position? Is it potentially Kirk Cousins or something like that, a stopgap for 1 year before you get to what really is next year, 2027 draft, the treasure trove of quarterbacks coming out of college, and that will be available. There is significantly more that could be available in next year's draft as opposed to this year's. So who's your stopgap? Is your stopgap someone who you want to win 7, 8, 9 plus, potentially playoffs, or is your stopgap someone who you want to make sure that you lose enough so that you're in the mix for one of those guys near the top of the draft? Can the Jets afford to continue to do this when they have the longest playoff drought in the NFL? And I know Glenn can't afford to go 3-14 again next year. So you'll find out in short order here, Paulie, who's going to be the stopgap situation for the Jets at quarterback, because I don't believe they're drafting one. And I believe it's going to be someone here, and that their eyes should be on next year for the draft. That's where I think their eyes should be.
They're in just an absolute unbelievable spot. I mean, just from ownership to the head coach to how last season went, the draft choices, who's available, and like what you were saying, what route do they take? What's important to the organization? Is it winning games out of the gate? Is it getting Cousins in here? I mean, an absolute nightmare as far as, a fan base looking at a team and trying to find some good to look for. And you have to win in the NFL. And I don't think there's going to be a lot of winning next year for the New York Jets. I'm sure the fan base is, the diehards, and they know. So I'm just going to say one thing. I'm just glad I'm not a New York Jets fan.
Look, I think the one thing is they had zero competent quarterback play last year. Fields was awful. Tyrod Taylor, they had no quarterback play.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like, if you believe the reports and you listened to this Muji yesterday, that if they don't reach a deal with Breece Hall, that they want to tag him and they want to bring him back on the franchise tag. So you thinking Breece Hall back. You obviously have, on the outside, you're pretty well set up as well. a Cousins without those pieces and an offensive line that was kind of stable last year. Is there a significant jump in the offense with somebody like Cousins? I mean, there might be. I mean, he is a statue back there, but you gotta give him time, and maybe it will be good for them.
What do you look forward to? What are you looking forward to as a Jets fan?
They can't be worse than last year. I mean, I know you can kind of say that every year, and it somehow does turn out that they are.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think that they could be worse than last year, especially offensively.
Come on, Mike. There's a good chance.
When you get the kind of quarterback play that they had last year, it buries you so quickly, and that's what their biggest issue was. So I'm interested to see what is it a 1-year stopgap for like a Cousins? Is there someone we're not thinking of or that they could trade for? Did they trade for Kyler Murray? Did they trade? That would kind of signal to me that they make a move like that. That's a guy that's going to be a quarterback for a little while, not necessarily 1 year. So I'm interested to see what happens. And I think it'll happen fairly quickly when free agency opens in a week or two, whatever that. I think it's the 9th or the 10th of March or something like that is when all that stuff comes down. But I mean, I also
here's another question.
Yeah.
Which team would you, even though whatever it is, public perception, which team would you prefer to be the GM of right now? The Giants or the Jets?
It's the Giants in a heartbeat because you have the quarterback. You have the quarterback. That's
not even that. I'm like, what Shane's dealing with in the press, right? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then you look at you list all the problems, whether, it's an ego thing or anything else, what happens there. So, this is just something, like I said, what do you really worry about as far as a fan base, or as far as, which job would you want? Like I said, right now, it's just a mess on the Jets side.
It's honestly, it's the Giants. I mean, it is what it is. But look, it's a big year for Glenn. Glenn talked about how he's going to call the plays now. Calling the defense is my superpower. All right, well then I expect the defense to be greatly improved then if he's calling the plays. The defense.
Do you recall what kind of deal he got, Glenn?
Well, I mean, they all get 4 or 5 year deals now, pretty much off the jump. But another, season with less than 5 wins, and I don't know if he comes back. I really don't. I think that especially if it looks like it did this year, where they were so lifeless and looked like they just had to completely quit the last 6-7 weeks of the season. If it looks like that again, there's no shot he survives that. No shot.
And then who wants the job?
Well, that depends on how bad is it. Now, is it bad enough that they're picking in the top 3 and you have a chance at Arch Manning or one of those guys? Because that, again, it turns you around fast.
Okay.
It turns you around fast. And as unattractive as the owner is, because he's a knucklehead, it can make it attractive fairly quickly if you're going to have a quarterback in place. I think that's what made the Raiders attractive to Kubiak was on, and he knows he's going to get Fernando Mendoza with him lockstep coming into the job. And if someone is like that with the Jets next year, it could be. I mean, they could be scrapping the whole thing and starting over next year. And depending on how bad the year is, it could be with a shiny new quarterback and a shiny new coach. So it's a weird year, and the weird year will start by what their plan is for quarterback, which will kind of get ironed out here, Paulie.
Sounds like Canadian hockey fans and New York Jet fans could go out for a drink together.
It does kind of sound like that as you start to do that. That's for sure. I have a few other things that I want to bring up to you. We have some hoops that we have to do and some spring training stuff as well. I'm going to take a quick break here, Paulie, and that's
okay.
And I will show you why. We're going to go check on the one sick child in the house. We'll go see how she's doing, and we will take a very quick break. Go Sports Radio, Carver and Cuthbert here, of course, live at Borelli's Tap Room in Long Beach on the island. I've got some spring training. I've got some basketball. Paulie's again at some point before we get out of here going to tell you what's going on at Borelli's too. So we will come back. Go Sports Radio right after this.
What's the kid's name again? Oh, all right.
And we are back.
Yes, we are.
No Sports Radio here. Carver and Cuthbert.
Hey, by the way, Mike, real quick, this in from the boss here, Borelli's. He wants CJ Carr for the Jets. Nothing else.
Oh, is that right?
How about
that? He wants the Irish in the jet green, huh? Let's go. Hey, you know what? That would bother me. I don't want him on the Jets. I love him.
Just cold card, getting the Notre Dame title for Notre Dame, and then a title for the Jets.
Well, I agree with him on the title for Notre Dame. We're getting that next year. That's coming, especially since it's all the dopey people around college football and tell you, look at this easy schedule the Irish have to play this year. Oh, and they're guaranteed to be in the playoff. If they finish in the top 12, they get every advantage. Blah, 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 blah. Carr, national title, Marcus Freeman next year. Let's go. Let's go. Enough of this stuff. Hey, by the way, I want to mention something because you know we never bring up anything super local, and I'm sorry for all the people who are not in the Long Island area that have to sit through this for the next 3 minutes. Did you see how the Limbrook Malvern boys basketball playoff game ended on Saturday?
Oh,
did you
yes,
hear
we did.
about this?
Yes.
So
yes.
I could not, and we should do more high school sports. But I could not believe. So Malvern was the number 1 seed in that division, and in Nassau County, it's tough. There's like 100 divisions, and everybody's in different, A's all the way through that. But Malvern and Limbrook are obviously on the border of each other. They're in the same division, and Malvern had a huge year. So Malvern hits a shot to go up 1, and it looked like a buzzer beater, like a little floater buzzer beater, but there was 0.8 seconds, I guess, left on the clock. But obviously all the people there don't know this. So Malvern hits a walk-off, and everyone rushes the floor, court storming the whole deal. The ref gives him a technical and puts the kid on Limbrook at the line with 0.8 seconds left. And this kid, and I was ices both free throws.
Yep.
Limbrook wins by 1. Massive upset over Malvern in the basketball. How about a little high school sports on can you believe they gave him a tech for court storming, Paulie? Oh my God.
That's a lesson. Stay in your seats until the clock shows 0, ladies and gentlemen.
Tech. They teed him up for the crowd coming on the court. I couldn't believe it.
Must have been a long ride home.
Oh, can you imagine a huge year, number 1 seed? They're playing the 8. Limbrook was the 8th seed in the playoffs, and they beat him on the walk-off free throws for the technical foul.
Crazy. And I've seen it all, man. Seen the video. Unbelievable.
I'm glad I remembered. I had to bring that up today because that was
great, man.
No, it was just nuts. All right. Spring training is in full effect. Did you see the ball that Spencer Jones hit the other day it was the first spring training game at Tampa. Judge hit 2 homers. This might have been Saturday because Friday we talked about the first game, right? Were we on Friday when they played the first game on the road in Baltimore and they sent Jazz there? Remember you gave me the lineup?
Yes.
I think that was Friday's show when we were at Borelli.
Yes.
Saturday they played in Tampa. Judge hit 2 homers in the game. And Spencer Jones hit a ball that still hasn't landed out in right field. I mean, if you've ever been to Steinbrenner Field in Tampa, the field's there's like the benches area, like a little party deck out in right field.
Don't you go every year? You're not going this year?
I used to go every year. Before I had kids, I went every year.
Kids. Yeah,
now I don't go every year anymore.
Oh, well. You have the memories.
He hit one over that party deck and into the parking lot, Spencer Jones. Man, I'd like to see more at-bats from him. Now you want to get me excited for Yankee baseball this year? Let me see that kid get 400 at-bats. Now, that would get me excited. But
a couple of the young pitching prospects look really well, too, man.
Now, since you're such a big advocate for this thing, this is what I really wanted to bring up with you today. And that's this World Baseball Classic, okay? Which, once again, let me tell you, when is the start date here, Paulie? I know that I gave this to you last week, but where did it go? I had it here for you. Where is the WBC start date? I lost it, Paulie. I'll have to find it for you.
All right, you talk about it.
I'll get me the date. I saw this week because they're starting to talk about, the rosters and who's going to be there and who's not going to be there, whatnot. And Tarek Skubal is obviously going into a very big year. He's won a couple Cy Youngs now in a row. He's going to be a free agent at the end of this season. Will Detroit trade him? Will they not trade him? Will they give him $1 billion? Will somebody give him all his money? Skubal said the other day, and he's on Team USA.
And everything starts next week, Mike, by the way. The 4th. And you think USA's first game is on the 6th.
Skubal says he's only pitching in 1 game.
Saw that.
And then I saw it.
But I thought he changed it to 2.
Maybe since this backlash. I don't know. And then Skeens and Merrill Kelly, I saw yesterday, say they're only pitching in 2 games for him. Now, I don't know if that means what games.
Maybe I'm getting across there. I think you're right. I think Skubal's doing 1 and then
2. And Skubal's doing 1. And then he said something like, and I've talked to the Tigers and they'll let me go back and join the team if they're in the finals so that I can hang. Are you on the team or not? Like what is this? I'm going to show up and pitch 1 game, which by the way,
I think that if that's possible, if you can go pitch a game, go back, play with your team, and then if you get into the elimination rounds or into the final, then you can come back as long as you're on the roster. Well, I think it's a pretty good deal. And I say for Team USA, I think that's a great deal.
And there are limits to how much these guys could pitch in this thing, which obviously baseball put in place because they don't want all these guys' arms getting blown out at the Snoopy WBC. They are only allowed to throw 65 pitches in pool play, 80 in the quarterfinals, and 95 in either the semis or the championship, with mandated rest days and a 3-batter minimum. So that means if Skubal's going to pitch in, I guess, a pool play, the group stage game, which is, of course, as you know, those for the United States and the big teams are wiffle ball. They basically have set it up so that they can get into the knockout round with a good spot. So I'm really glad. Who's in their division for this? I think it's Great Britain in the United States division. Paulie's got it all laid out. He loves.
Well, I got the schedule here more than anything as far as the divisions and stuff. I don't have it, but USA plays Brazil first. So
there's an example. There you go.
Exactly,
That's fine. I don't need more than that. So Brazil's in their group. So let me guess. Skubal's going to go throw 3 innings against Brazil in the group stage, and then he's going to go, he gets to say he was on the team. Are you on the team or not? I don't like this. This is part of what bothers me about this, Paulie. Either you're there or you're not. I get the point where teams don't want to send guys because they don't want them to get hurt. Trust me. If I'm the Detroit Tigers and I'm AJ Hinch and I don't want Skubal anywhere near the World Baseball Classic. But he committed to go, so he's going to go pitch 1 game against probably Brazil, throw 3 or 4 innings and go home, and then want to show up when they're in the championship and sit in the dugout with the jersey on and act like he was part of the team? Well, what are we doing here? And if all these guys are putting caps on how much they're going to pitch, who the hell's going to pitch when they actually have these big games in Miami against the Japan and Dominican Republic? Who's pitching those games?
I guess I'm looking at this as being a little league manager, okay? And when you have travel ball players on your team and you can only use them for limited pitches, but some games they're not going to be available and some days they are going to be available. And I tell you right now, if these guys I get what you're saying, are you on the team or not? I think maybe it's just the position. I mean, being a pitcher it's a little different as far as their value in terms of, just because of, the pitch is thrown and your arm and days rest and everything. It's a little more different than, say, a guy who's a DH on the team or a guy playing right or left field and obviously a big bat in the lineup. But if I can use again, a little league analogy, if these guys can come back at a later part of the season, like if I don't have my top travel guys during the regular season, but they're going to be available for the playoffs, I want them back. So I guess I'm looking at, I don't have a problem if Skeens and Skubal
the thing
can come in for a game or two.
As long as it is. What?
I don't know. I guess I'm just taking. I don't have a big problem with that because at the end of the day, if they're available for the big games and to win this thing,
look, if you're going to tell me that Skubal and Skeens are going to hold the game that they're going to pitch for the United States in the semis and the final and the quarterfinal, and it's just knockout round games that they're going to pitch in, I'll shut up and I'll stop complaining. That's fine. I don't want these guys to show up, pitch against Brazil and Great Britain, and act like they're heroes. Oh, look at me. I pitched for USA. And then I've got to watch this 9-man bullpen of Clevenger, Boyd, Bednar, Miller, Keller. And all these guys have to go and pitch against the DR and the Japan in the semifinals and the final. If you want me invested in this thing and you want me to get involved with it, then I need Skeens and Skubal pitching against the biggest games at the end. Now,
yes, and those are the only games you really need them for. So is it a big deal if they're not around for Brazil?
Well, but is that what it's going to be? Is it going to be that they're not going to be around for Brazil, or are they not going to be around at the end?
Let me ask you this. If it is that way, what's the big problem? Let them, as long as we have them when we really, really need them.
Well, if that's the case, then fine. But if Skubal shows up and pitches against Brazil and then heads himself back to Clearwater to go with Detroit for a couple weeks and then shows up at the end sitting on the bench with his USA hat on while they're playing Japan in the final, I don't want him there. Go back and stay with the Tigers. I don't want him there.
What's the problem?
You're either on the team or you're not. That's my issue. You're either there or you're not.
This is kind of difficult, though, where this tournament is, spring training, the season coming up. I mean, I guess this is how it has to work, Mike.
That's why it's a problem. That's why the whole thing's not legit. Is because of
it's baseball,
it's not
man.
legit.
It's a chance to watch the guys play ball.
But there's caps and there's limits because it's spring training. It's not a real true best on best. It sounds nice on paper that the United States has Paul Skeens and Tariq Skubal as their pitchers. It sounds nice, but they really don't have them. They don't have them because there's limits and there's asterisks and there's this and there's that. They're either pitching or they're not. And that's the problem that you get into.
But if they're available for the final, you want those 2 guys in the lineup, right? Who cares?
Again, if you can guarantee me today that in the semifinal and the final, I am going to get one start from Scooble and one start from Skeens, then I will shut up and stop complaining. That's fine. But if they're going to show up in this wiffle ball group stage and pitch against Brazil and what other hack team they're playing, and then get to tip their hat and go, see you later, while all the bullpen guys are the ones who have to do the heavy lifting at the end of this thing, I don't think that's cool. I just really don't. You're either there or you're not. And that's my problem with it. So,
all right.
I apologize.
All right. It's okay, buddy.
It's a WBC, a Scooble. I mean, yeah, I'm going to come back when they're at the end, and they're going to let me sit in the dugout. Oh, really? How nice of you.
Well, I mean, nice. Should we get into the kids who buy the USA Scooble jerseys?
I mean, why? You watched him dominate Brazil for 4 innings. Let's go get his jersey. That's the only game he's going to pitch for them.
Oh,
it just bothers me. I'm sorry.
Okay.
It is what it is. Massive game tonight. Actually, before I do this, let's do Borelli's one more time.
No, hold on. Yeah. Were you gonna move on from baseball real quick?
I was.
Because I have to ask you, did you watch any of the spring training games with the ABS? And
yes, I'm glad you brought this up.
What do you think about it?
I'm glad you brought this up. This is going to be a problem. Okay. This is going to be a problem. On the surface, this is great technology. I think it's good to hold the umpires accountable. I think it's a very good thing because we know it's gotten. Here's what I think is going to become a major issue for them, and they're going to need to put some rules in place. You cannot have 4 batters in a row, guys tapping on their head, and they're looking at pitches. There needs to be, and I don't know if there is. Again, this is something that I haven't completely engulfed myself in the rule book yet to know how often you could do this. Because I didn't even watch the game. Someone put the clip up on Twitter, and I don't know which 2 teams were playing, but like 5 batters in a row, guys are tapping their head and they're looking up the screen. These games are going to take 4. They went from getting the games down under 3 hours with their great, pitch clock thing to now they're going to go back to 4 hours because every 2 batters, you got guys tapping on their head and they're looking. And it's listen, it doesn't take forever. It's not like the ump goes and puts the headphones on. They put it right up on the screen so everyone can see it. But if you do it a lot, it's slowing the game down if you're constantly stopping to put the thing on the board. So I don't know if it's going to be you only get X amount per game. You only get X amount per every 3 innings. I don't know what the rule's going to be, but you can't have every batter or every 3rd pitch guys tapping on their head looking for the ABS. But I like it otherwise.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the ABS, right, is being put in place to eliminate the human error by the umpire. And then let's look at the human who's putting on the umpire gear now. Because one of those examples you brought up was the Red Sox game the other day. And he was wrong consistently, right?
Right.
And the psyche of those guys, right? Because you put on that umpire uniform, you're a bad guy to begin with, right?
Yeah.
And then you walk in there, and then you're trying to manage a game. And I don't care. Have you sat behind a catcher and called balls and strikes? A ball coming in 100 miles an hour and just making a decision. So I just think now the human part of this gets even more difficult as far as the psyche and the attitude of umpires wanting to come to the ballpark to call games. Because on top of this now, because to me, it seemed to come across as like a humiliating side of this.
Right.
Because every time the guy makes a wrong call, it's one thing to, in the game, we have the game called right, make a mistake. But yeah, when it gets to like 3 or 4 or 5 batters, and then it's on the screen, and then it's 30,000. I mean, it's only spring training now, but you got 30, 50,000 people in a ballpark just getting on a guy. And then he's sitting there. We're all like that, right? We all want to do our jobs right. And then when you're being shown in front of thousands of people that you're making a human mistake there, and then I just think that whole part of it too. The time is the one thing. Yeah, I got to tell you this. I was watching clips, and I was getting a little agitated just watching clips of it. And I haven't watched the full game yet to see how that whole thing works out. But I was like sitting here going, man, this is not enjoyable.
This is what this says, and I went and I found the actual rules. Teams. The system limits teams to 2 unsuccessful challenges per a 9-inning game. Teams retain their challenge if the call is overturned. So if you're tapping and you get it right, you're keeping it, which I think is what happened. That example you're talking about, because the ump was wrong every single time, and they kept winning it the 4 or 5 batters in a row. They kept keeping all of them as it kept going. Teams retain their challenge if it's overturned. If the game goes to extra innings, teams receive one additional challenge per inning. So you can only do it once per inning, I guess, when you get to extras, provided they have no challenges remaining. I like the concept. It's going to need to probably be tweaked in how often, because I think guys are just freewheeling it now. And maybe that's a spring training thing because guys are getting used to it. Maybe it won't be like this in actual regular season games. Teams are going to be more stingy about when they're tapping their head, or guys are going to tell players, listen, we only have one of these. You got to make it count. Mm-hmm. I think you need to save it for real. I mean, they're just hitting everything right now. Everything they're tapping.
And what, you got three guys that can call it, right? The pitcher, the catcher, and the hitter, correct?
Correct.
So you got three guys at the plate at the same time.
Yeah, because there's no dugout assistance. Players who can challenge the pitcher, catcher, or batter can indicate by tapping their helmet. Teams only lose a challenge if the original call is upheld. No coach assistance. Players cannot receive help from the dugout or coaches when looking at challenge. It really has to be an instantaneous thing. Like the pitcher's got to see that it was on the plate and the guy calls it a ball and they got to go like this, and vice versa for the batter. I think maybe I'm making too big a deal because it's spring training and their work and everyone's just trying it to get a feel for it.
Well, I think the both of us probably have to sit through and watch a full 9-inning game to get the full experience of it first.
But I could maybe it's just that. And listen, they've already played a lot of spring training games, and that's one game me and you are referencing where it was like every batter the guy's tapping on his helmet, and that guy was having a real bad day.
Well, on the other side, it like even you talk like a guy like Judge, right, who's been dealing with, because of his height and his size and everything else, that this is going to benefit him. You know? But,
I'm sure it will.
I guess we just got to let it play out a little more, though.
But in terms of the actual concept of seeing who's right and who's wrong and that getting fixed, I do like that, because as much as we're taking human element out of the game, and it's been there for the hundreds of years of baseball, some of these guys have gotten so bad that it had to happen. I mean, some of these umps have just gotten so bad that unfortunately this is what it's come to. We have the technology now. You got to use it as much as it. And I was really against the pitch clock thing. I was really against all of that. It's been a few years now. I've opened up to it. I can understand what it's done for the game and how it's helped. It has not changed things like I thought it might. Now, I still hate the runner on second in the extra innings. I'm not getting off of that. That is as stupid as it gets, that they put the runner on second. I know why they do it. Yep. I understand, but it's dumb. It's not real baseball. It's just not. So, there's some things you have to take some good with some bad when it comes to some of the rules that they've put together. All right. UConn and St. John's tonight in the Big East. Massive game. Yep. Let me just give you some of this that you have going on tonight. And obviously, St. John's beat them at the Garden a couple of weeks ago on that Friday night game. St. John's has won 13 straight games overall heading into tonight. UConn has won 26 straight games in Hartford. The game is at the mall tonight, Paulie, not in stores. It's at the old mall in Hartford. St. John's is 8-0 on the road this year in the Big East. The last team to beat UConn in Hartford, St. John's in 2023. So number 15, St. John's at number 6, UConn tonight in Hartford. By far the biggest game. UConn is a 5.5-point favorite in this game. It's just after 7 o'clock East, and it is going to be a fun one, Paulie. It really is.
Yeah, man, it's just massive. And I think, more than anything, it's just great that St. John's is in this position. They recently got bumped up to 15th now in the country, I believe, as far as rank. Yeah. So I think it's just fantastic. It's exciting. I mean, I think the fan base here in New York is just pumped. Just look at what Pitino's been able to do. The kind of, a curious start at the beginning of the season, but if the Johnnies go in there and win there tonight, man, I think they have to be kind of, would you, Michael, give them respect that they might even be considered as an honest shot at the national championship if they win tonight?
Look, depending on their draw in the tournament, I think that is something that, and we've actually been doing this a lot on the Bet Rivers show the last couple, recently, Paulie, is because we're starting to get to that time. March is here. Next week, and actually, Doug Kazarian, who does the show with me on Bet Rivers, he brought up St. John's on the show yesterday because they're, I think, about 50-1 right now to win the national title, and he was saying that he thinks that they have a legit shot of winning it. So I think absolutely it's on the table for them. And I don't think that tonight's game is the end all be all of all of those things. Splitting the regular season with UConn there's no shame in that for St. John's. So I think it's going to be a good game. I think the line kind of says UConn tonight, especially with it being about 5.5. That's, home favorite of that size. I think it's probably a good spot for the Huskies. We've talked about their dominance, especially in the mall there in Hartford. So I do think UConn wins tonight, Paulie. As much as we want to see St. John's do well, I'm taking UConn tonight, and I'm going to lay the 5.5 points with UConn. I think they're going to cover the game too.
So, okay, you think they're going to win outright and cover?
Yeah, I do. I'm taking UConn this evening. I would love to see St. John's win, but I'm going to take UConn tonight.
I'm gonna trust in the boys tonight. I'm going to take the Johnnies to win outright.
Outright. Yes. Outright win in Hartford. Yes. Wow. How about that?
Big game. I think Coach Patino's going to have him ready here. I think this could be I think this will shake things pretty loudly here if they go in.
They win this game, they'll be in the top 10 next week.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's something, man, you got to play for that. You got to go for that tonight.
Yeah. And look, right now they are first in the Big East. So, I mean, they want to have that 1 seed in the Big East tournament again, like last year. And then, or they won the Big East tournament last year. And we'll see if they can do that again. I can't wait. I love the Big East tournament at the Garden. It's always
when is that usually held?
That this year it used to be the first week. Now it's the second week. So that's actually the 10th through the 14th of March. So you have basically 2 weeks from tonight, Paulie, is the first round games of the Big East tournament. 2 weeks from tonight. Now, St. John's and UConn won't play till Thursday because they're going to be like the higher seeds that have the bye and stuff like that. But the initial round games are 2 weeks from today at the Big East. So,
all right, Mike, let me do this. Let me run through what's going on.
Give the Borellis before we go. Yes, absolutely.
On the show. Here we go. All right. Just a reminder, today, not only here at Borelli's and through just a ton of participating pizzerias across Long Island, it's Pizza Strong Day today. And that is in honor of Nassau County Police Officer, former Patricia Espinosa, who unfortunately was taken from us. And all the proceeds, $5 from every pizza pie that is purchased today at Borelli's tap room here and at pizzerias all across Long Island. Just search it here if you're in the local Long Island area here too. You can find out which pizzeria in your area, and you can go in there and help the cause. Okay, so that's $5 from every pizza pie that is sold today at Borelli's and other participating pizzerias across the island. Comedy series is cranking here at Borelli's. Pete Coriel is sold out tonight. Ben Bankers is also sold out in 2 weeks here on the 10th and the 11th. So just, when we announce the comedy shows here, you got to get right on them, okay? But they're cranking here. So Pete Coriel will be here tonight, and then Ben Bankers here next week. Shows are sold out. The Are You Garbage Comedy Series podcast will be here on Tuesday, March 31st. I do believe there are tickets still left for that. You better hurry up. Go to Borelli'sTapRoom.com or go to Eventbrite and search comedy at Borelli's. Music theme nights here. Billy Joel night was here last night. Great crowd. Next Wednesday is the return of Sinatra Serenade. Same thing, half-price bottles of wine. Great menu of Frank Sinatra's favorite dishes and drinks. So come on down. If you like the old standards, it's going to be a great night here next week. That is Wednesday, March 4th. Live music this weekend. Returns Friday, Evan Karuga, 7 p.m. with Dennis Kelly. No cover. Saturday, the return of Anthony Gall. He's going to be here, and then live DJ after Anthony's performance on Saturday. Once again, free admission. Come on down. Great live music there. And then on Sunday, Fun Day, Eddie Burbis at 4 p.m. will be playing here live, followed by DJ TM Select at 7 p.m. And it's early, but it's going to come here real fast. Yes, this is one of the best Italian restaurants, pizzerias on Long Island here in Long Beach. But St. Patrick's Day will be a huge celebration here at Borelli's, and that's on Tuesday, March 17th. Borelli's will be open at noon. Evan Kariga and Dennis Kelly will also be here, live music, and they're going to have $10 Jameson drinks and $5 pints of Guinness.
Whoa.
So come on down to Borelli's and celebrate St. Patrick's Day. Put it on your books.
$5 pints of Guinness?
I don't think there's been $5 pints of Guinness since
that is now
2001, 2002, babe.
being someone who obviously has preferred a pint of Guinness time and time again, not just on St. Patrick's Day like a lot of you, $5 for a pint of Guinness is a no joke. That is a deal right there at Borelli's. That's $5 for a pint of Guinness. It's great.
Put a 20 spot down.
And that tap will be flowing
good
too.
shape,
That's going to
man.
be good Guinness, because when the tap flows on the Guinness is when it's really at its best, especially here stateside. Obviously, when you're in
I'd
Dublin.
have to order one now, Mike.
Pint of Guinness. Getting involved. All right, Paulie. We are a little bit later than usual. We're going again, so we will be back tomorrow.
Yes.
On the show, we have a lot to do. We'll get to some NBA tomorrow. Man, the Knicks got whacked by the Cavs last night. They were awful again. But we will do some NBA tomorrow. We'll talk about St. John's and UConn from tonight. And we have a few other things. Maybe someone else will say that they're only going to pitch one game for the United States at the World Baseball Classic between now and then as well. Mike Carver, Paul Cuthbert, Go Sports Radio, Borelli's Tap Room in Long Beach. We are back with you tomorrow, noon East. Have a great day.